Hi and welcome to the Financial Fox. I'm here today with Amanda Van Dyke, mining expert, fund manager at South River Asset Management, and also non-executive director at Paternoster Resources, an AIM-listed investment company in the natural resource sector. Amanda, we did a few interviews together, but we never discussed Paternoster Resources. So today I would like to take the opportunity to talk a little bit more about the company, particularly after the key announcement that you made last week, so the agreement with RiverFort Capital.
Yes. Well, Paternoster has always been an investment company specialized largely in the resources sector because we believe that there's great opportunities within the resources sector on the AIM market. There's over 200 resource companies listed. Many of them are undervalued, and with the proper strategic investment and capitalization, they provide excellent returns.
But I mean, we haven't seen much activity lately on Paternoster. How do you think these partnerships is going to add value?
Well, admittedly, we haven't seen enough activity, and that was largely down to our scale. So while our net asset value was increasing, our scale was small, and getting investors interested because of deal flow and news flow was more difficult given our size. RiverFort is an excellent company that's got a long history, or the principal partners of it have a very long history of investing in the natural resources space. They see an incredible amount of deal flow. They've invested $50 million over the last couple of years since they restarted in this area, and they've made a significant return on that, largely through financings. By letting us participate alongside them in the equity portions of their deals, they increase the scale of the deals and what they can offer to those companies, and they allow us to get the returns from the sort of transformational investments that we like to do. So hopefully we'll see more investments, a larger scale of investment, and the kind of returns that AIM really can provide for shareholders. And hopefully that increase in scale will allow our share price to reflect our net asset value, increase both in scale and deal flow.
Okay, maybe let's try to talk a little bit more about the investment strategy of Paternoster Resources. I mean, a few times you said that Paternoster is acting as a strategic investor or a fund that is targeting and identifying undervalued opportunities with excellent investment returns. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about that, and how Paternoster and Paternoster board as well is adding value to companies.
Well, maybe the best way to do that would be an example. We've recently invested in something called, which was called Electo, that recently relisted as Cradle Arc Investments, which has a copper project in Botswana in production, and they're looking to double their production over the next year. They needed strategic investment. They needed transformational investment that would allow them to get from buying an old mothballed project and putting it back into production for significant margins. Being able to participate in those kinds of deals where you could see, I mean, we think it's significantly undervalued, and we could see a reasonable doubling or tripling of the share price if it trades alongside its peers, other production copper peers on AIM. And that's the kind of thing we're looking to invest in, where our investment can make a significant difference.
So you are investing capital, you are investing expertise, and that is all help as a mix to turn around the company and bring it to the next level.
Exactly. And the next level can be different for many companies. Sometimes they need to develop a resource, sometimes they need to develop a feasibility study, sometimes they need to turn production back on or add a new production circuit. There's a lot of things that can take a company from one level to a completely different level. And that's what we're trying to identify those opportunities and be that strategic capital. And our ability to make a significant difference will be vastly enhanced by being able to invest alongside RiverFort, who does strategic financing for these companies.
What kind of returns are you looking at?
It's hard to say. I mean, we'd like every company we do to be able to make a significant return. So to go from one scale to the next scale, to go from an exploration company to a development company, or from a development company to a production company. And usually there are orders of magnitude. But the thing about resource investing is there's also time to implement those changes. And so having a diversified portfolio as investment managers allows us to have a sort of significant deal flow, but because it's structured and it comes slowly but surely, you'll get a more measured return.
So maybe talking about your current portfolio, is there any investment that you are particularly excited about?
Well, there's Ortac Resources, who I think is also about to rename themselves, but they have just done a transformational investment themselves into acquiring a majority shareholding in one of what used to be a small shareholding and now is a majority shareholding in a mine in DRC, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they've just defined a very impressive gold resource, and they should be putting out an increase to that resource, as well as a scoping study that will show them the path to development and production.
Okay, so definitely a company to watch out.
Yes, very much so.
Talking about your future strategy, I would like just to understand what you think will be the best investment opportunity in the natural resource sector. I mean, we know the dollars is still going down, so possibly the gold could be a good place.
We agree. We like gold for the next little while. I'm a bit biased, but nonetheless, because of the sort of the dollar and a number of other macroeconomic factors, gold should do well going forward. It's in the middle of a sort of 3 to 5 year bull market cycle. And so we should have a couple more years to run on that. The most exciting thing going on right now is probably battery metals. Copper is, what most people, or a lot of people don't realize, is that copper is one of the most important battery metals, and the increase of copper, they require almost double the copper in an electric vehicle than they do in an internal combustion engine vehicle. So we're looking very hard at opportunities, I would say both in the precious metal space and in the battery metal space right now. But the reality is, you don't have to be the hottest metal in the market to be exciting for us to look at you for investment. What you need is to make a return. You can have a bog standard boring investment in something like iron ore, but if you've got 100% return margin, then you're an exciting company.
From metals, shall we talk maybe a little bit about oil?
Yes.
What do you think, how do you think oil price is going to perform going forward? And do you see any opportunity maybe to get into a company in the oil and gas space?
We look at oil and gas as often as we look at mining. Oil's had a very good run recently. Over the last couple of years, it's gone from about $25 to like 70, and that's impressive. I don't think it has a lot further to go up right now. I think it's happy in the $60 to $70 mark. I think reductions in expensive production and cuts from large international producers, and OPEC among others, is going to make it a tight market space. And I think they're going to try very hard to make sure that that price remains consistent, so investors can make reasonable decisions on the companies they're investing in going forward, and what returns they can make on those investments. We're invested in a company called i3 Resources, which has North Sea assets, which will hopefully soon be generating considerable returns. And they're looking to finance themselves into production in the next year or so. And so we're quite excited about that. So
maybe do you want to give a little bit some heads up about what we should expect next in terms of news flow? I mean, you mentioned about Alecto, Ortac.
Alecto, Ortac, and i3 are all investments we've made in the last year or so, or added to in the last year or so. What we really want to, what you should expect from us is probably more deal flow, just a lot more activity than our shareholders have been used to. And I think that's what they expect from us. and that's what they deserve from us. So hopefully this new partnership will allow us to provide that.
The final question, where do you see Paternoster in 12 months?
Doubling of our share price would make me very, very happy. But I don't think that's actually all that unreasonable. We are trading at a 50% discount to our NAV, and we hope by showing the market, by doing more deals and showing the market that we're active and that those deals are returning money, that the difference between our NAV and our share price will come to regulate. There aren't very many investing companies on AIM, and there isn't actually an ability for shareholders to get access to some of these very small, illiquid deals in a sort of safe, risk-adjusted way. And I would really like it if Paternoster became the go-to name for that kind of investment.
Particularly also looking at your board of directors, because it's not something, it's quite important for a company like Paternoster to have the right people on the board. And now with RiverFort agreement, you are going to add a new director on the board.
Yes, Andrew Nesbitt, also a former fund manager and now active in making investments with RiverFort, is a mining engineer by background and knows a great deal about the space. And we are very much looking forward to having him on the board and making our board stronger because of it.
Okay, Amanda, thank you very much. So we look forward to more news and activity on Paternoster Resources. That's everything from the Financial Fox today. See you next time.